Composition, commonly defined as the way visual elements are combined in an artwork, the use of composition can have various effects on an image. And today we'll take a look at those effects and how we can create them. I sounded real professional just now, didn't I? Honestly, I never know what tone to use for these videos, but anyways, let's get on with it and dive into everything you need to know about composition. Or at least everything I know about it. There are quite a few aspects to composition. The first one I'm going to talk about, being the focal point. This is the point of an artwork that evokes the viewer's attention the most, and it can be created by the placement, use of color, scale, perspective, viewpoint, lines, etc., etc. Now, I know me saying this won't be very useful, so I'm gonna give a couple examples and maybe editor me can put in some images. The first thing I think is commonly used to create a focal point would be contrasting colors. Just imagine a nice blue sky and in the middle of it, a red balloon. The balloon would definitely stand out to the viewer. Here are some visual examples on the screen. Honestly, I don't know why I asked you to imagine the first one, but it is what it is. Another thing you can do to create a focal point would be to use leading lines. Like if you have most of the lines, real or implied, leading towards one point of the image. It will guide the viewer's eyes to it and create a focal point. We actually dive deeper into lines later, so that's that for now. Next example would be contrast. Now, contrast in color is also a part of this, but you can also contrast textures, patterns, or even sizes. Like a really big object would stand out in front of small ones, patterned objects would stand out amongst non-patterned ones, and smooth objects could stand out against textured ones. You get the gist. There's also the positioning of an object, like central positioning, which would usually make it clear that that is the focal point. I'm sorry if I sound really out of it. I'm not feeling very well today. As always, I got sick like 2, 3 weeks ago again, and now here we are. But I need to record this video, so the next thing we're going to look at is leading lines, which, as mentioned before, guide the viewer's eyes, usually towards the focal point, but also throughout the image occasionally. Different types of lines also have different effects on the viewer. Horizontal lines suggest a wide open space. Vertical lines can convey strength and stability. Diagonal lines can create dynamism and energy. Curved lines convey movement and flow. And finally, converging lines create depth. All stuff to write about in your art exams. Next up is the viewpoint. I was debating in which order I was gonna talk about this, but viewpoint seems to have taken the cake over space, so then that's why. I have no idea. Anyways, there are three main viewpoints to know about. Actually, four, but I never know if I should separate bird's eye and high angle. Anyways, first up would be worm's eye view, which is basically a low angle view. This makes the subject larger and makes them seem powerful and imposing. The second one would be eye level, which is how we as humans see the world. This makes the artwork feel familiar and can resonate with the viewer. The next one would be high angle, which I have, by the way, decided to separate from bird eye. This is, as its name suggests, an image which looks down on something, making the subject feel small, vulnerable, insignificant, stuff like that. Bird's eye, which, according to my definition, which side note is a photography definition, not art, which is also why I seem to be having such a hard time dividing these terms because I feel so tempted to use the word shot and photo, but can't because it's an art video, not a photography one. Anyways, bird's eye view is basically like when the viewer is looking straight down at the subjects or the view, which in turn makes any objects or buildings or whatever look flat. and sometimes abstract. That's kind of it with the viewpoints. On to the use of space, specifically positive and negative space. If you don't know what that is, positive space is basically the space with all your subjects and what you may call it, and the negative space is the empty space. If you have a lot of positive space, your artwork might seem more intense, crowded, and chaotic. If you have a nice balance between the two, it can make your piece more calming. And if you have more negative space than positive, it makes the piece more simplistic and minimalistic, and can make it easier for the viewer to focus on your subject. I don't know why I'm talking this quickly, by the way. I probably shouldn't, but it is what it is. Continuing on, this is gonna be a short section, I promise. The balance or symmetry of a piece. A balanced or symmetrical piece can create harmony and order, which, side notes, are the names of paths in stereo. Fun! Or it can also be unnatural, by the way. Sorry, maybe not so fun. Actually, no, it can be fun. We can use it for fun, but sometimes it's used to create like a creepy, uneasy atmosphere. Anyways, imbalance or the better sounding asymmetry can create unease, tension, or movement. I know it's kind of like how balanced piece makes you feel, but it's confusing. All right, art is subjective. Things can make you feel things. That sounds so weird. I don't know. Anyways, asymmetry. So it can be uneasy or tense, but it can also be more natural than a perfectly symmetrical piece. This is also just my opinion, by the way. Don't take it for fact. Moving on. Next and actually last aspect of composition for today is the arrangement and placement of different elements in your artwork, specifically in relation to each other. This can be summed up in a relatively simple way. The closer your subjects are, the more intimate the atmosphere of your piece, and the further they are from each other, the more isolated it feels. That's that for the specific aspects. Of course, there's going to be more to this than like what I've said, but that is like a brief overview. If you have no idea how to apply that to your art, no problem, because neither do I. I'm joking, of course, but not really. Anyways, what I wanted to say before making that terrible joke was that you shouldn't fret because there are set compositions you can use for your piece. Not going to lie, they are not much easier to apply purposefully in your art, at least. Not for me, but they exist, so let's talk about them. So, first up, the rule of thirds. I'm sure you've heard of this, or if you would have if you've studied art before. I don't know what's with my words today. I'm getting them all slurred and stuff. Anyways, basically, rules of thirds is when you divide your image into 9 equal rectangles and place your elements on the lines or the point of intersection of the lines. Sounds confusing, I know, but here's an example of it in action. Using this composition can draw attention to particular elements, separate the foreign backgrounds, and create an overall aesthetic background. Totally not feeding into the artist stereotype, by the way, by using aesthetic there, but the next composition is the golden ratio. Now, you've definitely heard of this one, it's everywhere, but I actually can't explain it in words very well. Also, I don't know what happened to my voice just now. I don't know if you heard it. Something happened. Okay, alright, let's go. Anyways, so I can't explain how the golden ratio works in my own words because I suck at it. Here's just an just look at the picture, okay? It's on the screen, hopefully. Editor me, please do not forget this. But basically, the golden ratio is used a lot because it enhances it enhances an artwork's visual appeal, and it feels natural and realistic because it's the golden ratio. Continuing onwards, I am gonna blaze through these because they're quite self-explanatory. I'm not gonna lie. Diagonal composition, which is diagonal line. I just said I wasn't gonna explain this. A diagonal composition, just look at the screen, conveys movement or instability. The pyramid. Oh my god, I'm so bad. Guys, I'm fine. I'm not okay. Never mind. Anyways, the pyramid composition creates balance and harmony, while the S curve composition also conveys movement and it guides the viewer's eyes and creates depth and perspective. Finally, the L-shaped composition, which I've actually never heard of before making this video, creates a sense of rest, stillness, and harmony. Oh my god, I've said harmony so many times in this video. Or at least I think I have. I don't actually know. I'm tired. I promise. I know I sound really like unenthusiastic right now, but I'm having fun making this video. You can hear me laughing. I'm doing great. Now I have spent the majority of this video explaining the theory and stuff like that behind composition, but I think seeing it in practice is important too. Also, I do need proof that I know what I'm talking about, so we're gonna see how these concepts apply to the piece. Also, this is where my script ends, so this is completely off script. Wish me luck! Alright, so I think the first thing that stands out to me with this composition is the central positioning of the character, my OC Mira. It just really screams, look at me, I'm the focal point. So that's that. Um, there's also some contrasting colors in this. So firstly, like Mira definitely stands out from the kind of archway I've drawn her. And actually, I don't know if you can see this because I don't know if I've colored it in yet. I kind of did that at the end, I'm not gonna lie. But basically, in the final piece, the archway is gonna be like a dark. Wait, why am I explaining this? I'm just gonna show you. So, see that archway? And basically, I've used light tones for her outfit and her skin, which stands out amidst the dark backgrounds, which also screams that she is the focal point. Then we also have the use of bright colors, which once again contrast the backgrounds, focal point. I think a lot of this is just gonna be, oh yeah, look at this. It contrasts that. It's the focal point. Speaking of red, the spider lilies that she's holding are red, which once again contrasts all the other colors around it, hence creating a focal point. Is that all this is? I don't know. Oh, actually, no. Uh, the her hair, it creates a little S curve kind of thing. It's similar to the S curve composition. It's not really an S, but it guides the viewer's eyes up the image to her face. Once again, creating a focal point. We love focal points, guys. We love that. Honestly, I'm not entirely happy with this piece. It doesn't have as many like compositional elements as I would like it to have. I did run out of time at the end, so it is what it is. But yeah, that's kind of the general idea of this piece. We've got contrasting colors, tones, stuff like that, all creating a focal point. Ooh, also, her design is very much like detail, intricate, has a lot of textures actually, at least for the hair. I added a lot of texture for the hair, which once again stands out because the background is mainly plain. Actually, it's not completely plain. It's got this kind of vintage paper texture that I added on it at the end. It's not gonna be on the video, but you know. But yeah, I added this like paper textures which contrast again Vera and pushes her forward, making her the focal point. Actually, it doesn't push her forward, but it makes her the focal point because contrast. Yay! Yeah, that's kind of it for Mira. I'm not gonna lie. This is a short video, actually. Well, I'll see you in the outro, hopefully. All right, bye. Okay, so I am here after watching, or actually just listening to the whole video, and oh my god, what an absolute mess that was. I'm not crazy, I promise, okay? It makes me, the video makes me sound crazy. I'm not, I'm fine. Anyways, on to the outro. I'll try to keep this brief because I already recorded this and it ended up longer than any other part of this video. I honestly, I don't know what to think about these theory videos. I don't do them often. This is actually the second one I've done. I'm not sure it's as enjoyable as I want them to be. I guess this one is a bit more fun because of my mania, but I guess it's supposed to teach you something, not really, not just entertain you. But I hope it actually, I hope it did entertain you. Okay, don't mind my words just being a complete mess. I've just recorded this whole video in one go, so you know. Anyways, I really hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something, even though everything I've said was a complete mess. And yeah, thanks for watching and sticking around. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.